Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this year's Gotan-e service. And today, we are fortunate to have Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji from IBS, Institute of Buddhist Studies. I have known him for how many years? 16 years. You know, when I first met him, he was at IBS dorm. I was international ministerial orientation program students from Japan. So I stayed at the IBS dorm for 4 months. So every night we had dinner together and drink together. And then there was another exchange student from Japan. His name was Reverend Ichido Kikukawa. And Reverend Kikukawa and Takashi and myself, we all hang out almost every day. Then Reverend Kikukawa received PhD, so he became Reverend Dr. Ichido Kikukawa. And then Takashi received PhD, so he became Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji. I'm the only one who doesn't have PhD. But anyway, he's really smart, brilliant, funny person to listen to, so I'm really looking forward to listening to his Dharma talk today. So thank you very much for coming.
Let me just get my notes here. Oh, すいません. Yeah. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you very much to Sacramento Betsuin and Reverend Yuki Sugahara, Reverend Matt Hamasaki for inviting me here today. Very happy to be here, very honored to be here. My first time here actually was last year, or when the Sacramento hosted the National Council of Kyone deshitakke? So last year. So that was my first time here. And I always heard, wonderful stories about Sacramento, and I've always wanted to visit, but I never had a chance until today, till then, and then now today as a guest speaker. So I'm really happy to be here and to be able to participate in the Gotan-e service today, which I'll explain in a little bit, but also just to see the sea of people here today, it just blows my mind. I was telling Sensei this, SACBC is on average, maybe like 20 people or something like 15 people. We're very, very humble, very humble. But it's a bad minister. The minister doesn't do a good job speaking. And so it's a very intimate setting, but it's nice too, but also it's also nice to see a lot of faces here participating in the service. So I'd like to talk a little bit today about what Gotan-e means, okay? What is that? Anybody know? Any of the kids know? Gotan-e. Gotan-e. Choir? Anybody know? Gotan-e? Yeah, if you look up on the screen, it's there. Okay, so Shinna Shonin's birthday, okay? So Shinna Shonin's birthday, and then I guess since it's already up here, I might as well talk about it already. So Gotan-e is, so this first kanji, go, means to come down. It's the kanji oriru in Japanese, if you know Japanese, but it also means, in this sense, to be born. Or to emerge, okay, or to come down is probably the best way. Tan is the same one as, have you guys ever heard of the word tanjobi? Tanjobi, what's tanjobi in Japanese? Birthday, okay, good. Okay, so tan is the same tanjobi for tanjobi, and then that's to enter, to emerge, and then assemble, commemorate, observe. And so we are assembling, we are commemorating the birth of Shinran Shonin. So we're celebrating the day that our founder Shinran Shonin entered this world to teach and guide sentient beings on the Nembutsu path. And this is celebrated on May 21. Shinran Shonin was born on May 21, 1173. So who's really good at math? How many years ago was that? Bust out your iPhones. It's, I think, 852, だね. if I got that correctly, if I remembered correctly, because I punched in like last week, and so, but anyway, that's so it's been over 8 centuries that this individual had lived and passed away. Why are we still celebrating this person's birthday, right? And it's because of the message that he left behind. And that's something that I kind of want to talk about today. So Shinran Shonin is a person who, at a very early age, lost his parents and became an orphan, okay? And also, I do kind of want to add this note, a little bit of a footnote here, that when he lost his mother, or his parents, okay, there's another individual that lost his mother at a very early age. Anybody know? Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, Shakyamuni Buddha loses his mother, Kui Maya, at birth. She dies from what we believe are labor complications from giving birth. And then his aunt, Mahaprajapati, takes over and kind of watches over him. But suffice it to say that his mom passes away. And so there's this huge, what I believe is a void in his heart, a huge void in Shinran Shonin's heart. And then also Renyo Shonin's heart, but we'll talk about that some other time, okay? But this is something that I feel that that pushes them into the direction of seeking out what is love? What is love? What is compassion? Okay, and this is what gets them to be on this path, and it pushes them to be on this path. Okay. And so Shinran Shonin goes to study as a Tendai monk because his uncle kind of brings him under his wing, doesn't really know what to do with him. And at that day and age, a lot of times what they did was they sent orphans or sent kids who are kind of don't have a direction to the local monastery. And in this case, it was Endyakuji, the mighty Tendai tradition. So Shinran Shonin enters the monkhood or the priesthood at the age of 9. Can you imagine that? 9 years old. How old are you guys right now? 9, right? 9 years old, you guys got to go live by yourself in a monastery. Yeah, right? That's kind of scary. It's daunting, right? And so he goes and does this. And for 20 years, he tries to kind of fill that void. He tries to find the answer of why he's in this life, why people suffer, why does he suffer, right? And for 20 years, he doesn't find this answer. He tries very, very hard to memorize the sutra chantings, the various practices, right? And is not able to complete and fulfill any of those things. And so at the age of 29, who's 29 here today? Oh, I got one in the back right there. Myself, that heart too, yes. Okay, so at 29, he finally says, I give up. I cannot continue with this. I cannot, no matter how much I try, it seems like it goes away and is out of reach, just out of reach. And so he comes down the mountain and goes to a place in the heart of the city of Kyoto, a place called Rokkakudo. And I have some pictures of Rokkakudo. So these pictures are a little bit small, I apologize. But when you go to Rokkakudo, it's still there today, okay? It's still there today. This is that very top picture is the front gate, okay? And then when you enter that front gate and you go a little bit to the right, that second picture is kind of looking at it from the right angle or so, okay? So it's a roku means 6, okay? So 6-sided building, 6-sided my math escapes me, my geometry. Hexagon? Yes, hexagonal structure. And then this third one is kind of an old painting of Rokkakudo, which gives you an idea of how old this building was. It's very, very old. But the city of Kyoto, I also want to point out, is a very interesting place. How many of you have ever been to Kyoto? Oh, wonderful. Okay, wow, that's a lot of you. Okay, that's great. Kyoto is an amazing city because there's so much history. There's like layers and layers of history there, right? And so if you go there today, Rokkakudo is still in existence, right? That's a statue of Shinran Shonin there. But this bottom picture is kind of hard to see, but can you guys make out that little sign there that's in green? Starbucks, ne. Starbucks. So they have glass panels that is adjacent to this the temple. So it overlooks this temple. So it has this kind of juxtaposition or this side by side of the modern Japan and the history of Japan, historical Japan, that are just lined up right together. This is very, very typical of Japanese culture and Japanese society. And I thought it was just such a great kind of picture or very symbolic of Japanese society. But anyway, yeah, so you can have a latte while you're watching No Kakudo next time you go. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up because it's for the kids. But anyway, this is a long story of Shinran Shonin's journey of going to search for the quest for his life. And if there's something that I want the Dharma School kids to take away from today's kids message or the Dharma School message, is that what Shinran Shonin did was he made this teaching of Buddhism accessible to everybody. Okay, he made it available to everybody, and that's why he's so special. When you feel like you are alone, when you feel like the world is beating down on you, or maybe you feel that you are being, shunned by your friends or family or anything like that, that you have somewhere to go to, right? You have something to confide in. You have a teaching that you can rely on, and that is the teaching that a person almost 900 years ago has discovered and brings to us to this day, and that's Shinran Shonin. Okay. And with that, I'd like to close with the Dharma School message. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you. じゃあもう入ったらいいんですかね? Okay, so I'll just kind of transition over to the adult message then. So if you feel like falling asleep, please be my guest. Just no snoring, okay? Okay, so when Shinran Shonin came to, when he gave up and he goes to Rokkakudo, and then eventually he goes to see, through a dream vision he receives, he goes to see Honen Shonin. I'm skipping a lot of steps here, but eventually he goes to see his teacher, Honen Shonin, and Honen Shonin teaches him about this teaching of Nembutsu, and he teaches him about the world of the voiceless voice of Amida Buddha, okay? The voiceless voice of Amida Buddha. So what is this voiceless voice of Amida Buddha? Is it like a god or some kind of deity, that speaks to me? If we look at the central object of reverence here, it's a statue. Is Amida Buddha a god? Is that what we're paying homage to, right? Is there literally a voice that talks to me? And the answer is no, right? The voiceless voice of Amida Buddha is when we are shaken to our core and shown a world that is much more profound than the one we could have ever imagined. There are no words that can accurately explain this world, and that's why it is voiceless, right? However, it speaks to us, and hence it does have a voice. So it is this voiceless voice. And it is not a god or a deity, but rather the world of truth itself. Because this truth doesn't judge us. It doesn't punish, nor does it grant us with special benefits for being loyal or faithful subjects. In the Jodo Shinshu tradition, our understanding of truth is that it is not forgiving or unforgiving. It is simply truth, the truth as the principle of wisdom and compassion. And the problem is on our side. We simply do not understand that, okay? Just to give you an example of this, it's kind of like gravity, okay? Gravity doesn't care whether we believe in it or not, okay? It doesn't judge us. It doesn't grant any favors to those who believe in it, nor does it punish those who don't believe in it, right? So let's say there's some kid who's like standing on the building and jumps down 15 feet from the building, right, and breaks his leg, right? Why did he break his leg? Gravity, right? Gravity did the work, and his weight could not kind of withstand, his body could not withstand the weight and the stress that was given onto his feet, and so his foot or his leg snapped, right? And so, no one is going to say that the god of gravity, right, wanted to punish this child for being a kid, right? Or that, that somehow he was being punished. What happened was gravity did its work, right? And gravity is just a principle that operates on this earth. It isn't good or bad. It doesn't grant wishes, nor does it punish. So when we talk about Amida Buddha, then, it's the same way. We're not talking about a deity that judges. Amida Buddha is the personification of wisdom and compassion, right? And this principle is described to us as Amida Buddha, with a head, arms, legs, right? Similarly, the Pure Land is depicted as a physical place, but it isn't some place like on the other side of the earth, right? The Pure Land, again, is the embodiment of truth. So Amida Buddha and the Pure Land both depict truth itself, which is the principle of wisdom and compassion. It far exceeds what we can understand it to be, right? And that's why it is beyond what we can understand. So you might be asking yourself, that's great, but why do I need to know this? Why does it matter that I know this, right? What do I get out of all this, right? Who cares what happens to me? Who cares, especially what happens to me after death? Why should I care about this teaching, right? What's in it for me, right? That's the question that I always question myself that I come up with, and a question that I oftentimes get from members as well. And to that, I'd like to answer by saying, you know that movie Terminator? Yeah? The Terminator sticks out his hand and he says, "Come with me if you want to live," right? And that's precisely what Shinna Shonin is saying, right? Right now, we are not living. If we have not received the Nembutsu in our hearts, all we are doing is meandering. We are meandering, simply existing, wondering what our next meal is, thinking about how to procreate and with whom, right? How to make our lives more comfortable, more pleasurable, right? How do we keep ourselves out of poverty and able to take care of our loved ones, right? In other words, how do we make sure we keep up with the Joneses, right? Day in and day out, we preoccupy ourselves with these concerns. And these aren't all bad, or unimportant issues. Some of them are very important, that we need to take care of ourselves, or we need to worry about our financial well-being. These are very important, right? But Jodo Shinshu Buddhism asks us, is life only about getting a paycheck? Is it just about living life comfortably and just out of poverty, right? Is it a matter of just owning a bunch of things? Because after all, we can't take any of these things when we die, right? You can't take your Tesla with you when you die, right? So what is all this for anyway, then? And we think that satisfying our mundane needs is what happiness is, but it isn't. It might be existing on a subsistence level, but it isn't truly living, right? We have to encounter truth in order to truly live. And what do I mean by truly living? I'd like to give you another example of this. When you go to the park and you hear children laughing and playing in the playground, why do you think they're having so much fun? They're out there on the monkey bars and on the swings, right? Playing tag, right? Not concerned about life, not concerned about the clothes that they have on or how they look to others, right? They're all carefree, right? Not a worry in the least. The world is their playground down there. And for me, as a parent now and a little bit older, as I look at the kids playing on the playground, they're carefree because I feel that deep down, they know that they are safe, right? They probably don't even realize it, but they know that they're being cared for and loved, that their parents are right over there watching to make sure that they are okay. And when they know they don't have to worry about, anything, and that they are okay, that's when they can let loose. That's when they can be free-spirited and live in the moment, right? Truly living by playing, by being children at their best, by being themselves. And that's what our spiritual parent does for us. Amida Buddha in Japanese is referred to as our oyasama, our parent. As adults, we're still kids. And Amida Buddha is the true spiritual parent that watches over all sentient beings. Amida worries so that we don't have to worry. And when we don't have to worry about what comes after this life because we will know that we will be okay, we know that we will not be alone, that we will be with those who we parted from, right, in this world, that we can live today in confidence. We can live today in quietude and in peace. And that's the teaching of the Onenbutsu, right? That's what's in it for you. That's why we need this teaching now, while we're living. Right? The assurance of truly living and not just meandering, not living from paycheck to paycheck, not wasting away life and simply going from one material desire to the next, but really living. Right? That's the beauty of this religion. Jodo Shinshu Buddhism doesn't tell you how to live. It doesn't say give 10% of your income, right? It doesn't, in order to be a good Buddhist. Right? It doesn't say you need to be a vegetarian. It doesn't say that you need to be celibate, no family, right? You have to be a monk living in the monastery. It doesn't say you have to vote in a certain way for a certain political party, okay? Those are all petty differences that we preoccupy ourselves with on this side of the shore. Jodo Shinshu Buddhism doesn't tell you how to live. It tells you why your life matters. Okay. And from there, it will be clear to you how you must live. And that's something that you will determine. This is where your creativity, your ingenuity will naturally emanate. You are being given the energy, the confidence, the joy, right, to craft your life. And that's what's in it for you. Shinran Shonin is here with you right now. He is worried for your happiness and wanted you to hear the path that will lead to true emancipation. You know, sometimes we chant what's called the Shoshinge, the hymns that he has written a long, long time ago. And what he's saying to us is in that message, you know, it's kind of a long chant, so it's a little bit boring, and like I fall asleep sometimes, you know. But if we get to the core of the message of the Shoshinge, of what he wrote, what he is saying to you is that you are not alone. There is a world that is lucid and warm that embraces you just as you are. It embraces me just as I am 852 years ago, and it embraces you where you are right now, right? And that's why we call this occasion the Gotan-e. We're celebrating his life because Shinran Shonin gave us this message, who showed us that this is a message for all beings, regardless of what background that you come from, where you are in the socioeconomic ladder, none of that matters. All of us are embraced by the world of absolute truth. And Shinran Shonin says to us, come with me if you want to live. And when you're done, we'll go home to the Pure Land. Okay. And that's his message. And with that, I'd like to close. Thank you very much for your time today. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.